Chapter 24, Collecting with a Smile. What is the hardest job a collection letter can have? Collecting money people owe you when times are hard may be difficult. Collecting after something has happened to anger your debtor may be worse. But compared to one kind of collecting, both of these are easy. That kind is collecting for goods people have not sent for and for all, have no use for. If a letter will bring back the money from such a debtor, where the creditor has no standing morally or legally, it must be a good one. If it will work on him, it ought to bring home the bacon no matter where it is used. You remember the flood of unsolicited merchandise that filled the mails a couple of years ago, until chambers of commerce and better business bureaus began to advise people to throw the stuff away, and the post office threatened to refuse to handle it? With such advice ringing in their ears, people could scarcely be considered in a favorable mood for good collection. Yet it was at just this time that a company with which the writer was connected in a consulting capacity found itself with nearly 600,000 $1 accounts on its books, collections getting slower and slower and no possible redress in sight. The merchandise sent was of three different kinds: a bottle of perfume, a set of initialed handkerchiefs, and an initialed cosmetic set, each selling for $1 and each sent to a likely list without order or other authorization. It was poor business to send out merchandise that way, no doubt of that. Even the ones who first proposed it were willing to admit that then. But this was not the point that was worrying them. The important matter on the boards at the moment was whether there was any way of getting the money back. Threats, of course, were out of the question. There remained only persuasion, and even this had to be used with care, for the chances were that a great many of the recipients of that merchandise were feeling distinctly peeved at having things sent them they had never ordered, and would be a lot more so when they were asked to pay for them. They must be mollified first, and the best way to do it seemed to be with a smile. But even before that, some sort of a bill must be sent to establish in their minds the idea that they did owe something for the merchandise. So the first notice took the form of a letter and bill combined. It read, 1 full-ounce bottle, delightfully fragrant narcisse perfume, $1. A person who is busy can be forgiven for forgetting a little bill like the above. Our account will be off your mind if you wrap a check or dollar bill in this letter and slip it in the enclosed envelope. Why not use it now? It's already stamped. Appreciatively yours. That idea was given a couple of weeks to percolate. Then the voice with the smile was used. Here was the most successful of this type of letter that was tried. Have you heard this one of Bud Fisher's? For the love of Mike! Exclaimed Jeff, looking at a letter. Bad news in the letter, Jeff? Asked Mutt. I'll say so. Terrible news. A fellow writes me that he wants my autograph. I call a request for an autograph a compliment. Yeah, wails Jeff, but he wants my autograph on a check for the $8 I owe him. May we not, like Jeff's creditor, request your autograph on a check for $1 or just a plain dollar bill, covering the full-ounce bottle of fine perfume we sent you a month ago? Thank you. Gratefully. That failing, it was necessary to become just a little more insistent, so the next two letters took on a slightly aggrieved tone. The letter begins with a series of question marks. That is the way we are beginning to feel about that bottle of fine perfume we sent you 6 weeks ago, with the privilege of keeping it or using the postage enclosed to mail it back to us. We've written you several letters, but not a line from you have we had. If you have merely neglected to take care of our previous letters, won't you please pin your check or dollar bill to this letter and send it in the enclosed envelope now? Yours, hopefully. A feather is not very heavy, but have you ever carried a feather bed upstairs? One small account does not burden anyone, but hundreds of them often make a tremendous load. Besides, a small account may be easily spent in postage and letters before it is paid. That isn't fair, and I know you don't want to appear unfair for the small amount you owe us for that full-ounce bottle of exquisite perfume we sent you a couple of months ago, with postage enclosed for its return in case you didn't care for it. RSVP $1. Expectantly yours. Those letters brought home the bacon, or a sufficiently large part of it to keep the hair from going with the hide. They brought back dollars from something like 60% of the people to whom they were sent, and the merchandise itself from about 25% more. only about 15% adopted the advice of local leaders to throw away or refuse payment on anything delivered without order. Letters that will work on such difficult accounts must have back of them a fundamentally sound idea, and it seems to us that these four had. For what is it impels a debtor to pay you? Two things only: fear or persuasion. If you can stir up in him the fear that he will lose his credit, if you can hold over him the threat of a judgment and foreclosure or garnishee, you will get your money if it is possible for him to pay it. You will get your money, but you will lose his goodwill and his trade when he is able to buy elsewhere. How much better, then, to use the sort of persuasion that leaves a smile in its wake, that extracts the money, but instead of an aching void, leaves in its place the pleasant glow of a favor done for a friend? But the fact that it is pleasantly expressed need not take the firmness out of your letter. On the contrary, it makes it the more necessary that you put it there plainly, unmistakably. If there is anything better calculated to lull a debtor into a sense of security than a trusting to hear from you letter, I hope I never meet it. Just listen to this one. Dear Mr. Jones, you are undoubtedly aware of the balance due on your account. I believe you care little for dunning letters, and for me to personally write of the whole affair would consume considerable unnecessary time. Extensive experience has led us to conclude that there is a positive danger in your failure to give regular attention to payments. When you fail to send them in promptly, it does not take long for back payments to accumulate to such an extent that it is a great inconvenience, and often an unanticipated impossibility to pay at all. Not having heard from you for quite some time, I ask you to please confer a personal favor by advising me when I can expect a remittance, or possibly make known the circumstances that have prevented payment. Thanking you in advance for this personal courtesy. No, we did not make that one up. It was actually a typical one of a series we were called upon to revise for a company that you would think had better sense than ever to mail such a screed as that. If you got it, would you not feel that while they might want their money, they would be too diffident ever to do anything about it, so you could safely put off payment until it suited your convenience? Compare that with this courteous but forceful, definite request for payment. Dear Mr. Jones, some people, the minute a delay or dispute arises in the payment of a bill of theirs, want to rush to the law about it. They think the only reason a person can have for not paying a bill when it is due must be dishonesty. But we know better. We have dealt with too many people not to know that only a very, very small percentage are deliberately dishonest. But many perfectly honest people get classed with the deadbeats simply because they are careless. They fully intend to pay, do pay eventually, but because the amount involved is small, they put it off. Now we know that you fully intend to pay the $10 overdue on your account. We know that eventually we shall get the money, but that difference between eventually and now is what marks the line between the gilt-edged customer and the poor pay. You want to be in the gilt-edged class, even if you never buy another book from us or another dollar's worth of goods on credit. It's such a pleasant feeling to know that you are a preferred risk, that any merchant will be glad to extend credit privileges to you if you want them. Get back into that class by pinning your check or money order to this letter now and dropping it in the mail. The greatest danger of collection letters is that after the first one, people recognize them for what they are from a glance at the corner card of the envelope and throw them away unread. So it is well to vary the appearance of your collection appeal in every way possible. The Business Week, for instance, uses a miniature letter, envelope, and bill that attract attention by their very novelty, then follows these with a letter in the ordinary form. Here they are. Dear Mr. Jones, the attached bill is so small that we don't want to take up much space in bringing it to the attention of a man in your position. We know that a reminder is all that is necessary. Won't you pencil your OK on it and drop in the outgoing basket? Now? Thank you, gratefully. The Business Week McGraw-Hill publication. 10th Avenue at 36th Street, New York. John Jones, 121 J Street, Washington, D.C. For 52 issues to the Business Week, $5. Kindly return this invoice with your remittance or refer to number 121. With a man like you, it is not a problem of how to pay, but when, because you're so busy. But that very busyness makes the business week the more invaluable to you, because it not only condenses into a few meaty paragraphs everything of import that happens in business, but it interprets those happenings for you in terms of their effect upon your business. The business week is as necessary to the important executive as his bank statement and his sales charts. And your check, because it's one of thousands, is as necessary to the service. The business week is rendering you. Won't you therefore get that check definitely off your mind by penciling your OK on the enclosed bill now and dropping it in your outgoing basket? Thank you. Appreciatively. The famous string letters written by Louis Victor Eitinge owed their success in large part to the clever idea around which they were written. The idea of tying a string around your finger so you would not forget to send remittance, and then tying letter and bill with the piece of string you were to use. Here's the first of his letters. Do you remember how, when you were young and your good folks sent you downtown after something, they were very likely to tie a string about your thumb to make certain you would not forget? Those were the happy days, weren't they? But there's no reason why the days of now should not be as happy, and it is just as certain that some of us are liable to forget the little things of today. Because of that, I am sending you this little reminder, not to forget to pay the little item listed below. I hope you enjoy the smile in my letter, and that I may have the pleasure of hearing from you promptly. Cordially yours. Tie the string, and you won't forget. Another good one is the pin letter. It is an adaptation of the string idea and works just about as well. Then there is the letter in a blue envelope, printed on a blue letterhead, which tells the reader how blue you are feeling at not having received his expected check. This idea can be carried to extremes, as in the gravestone letter, which carries a black border on envelope and letter, and is sacred to the memory of John Jones, or whatever the reader's name may be, whose account died after a lingering illness, etc. Down in the corner of the card, in small type, is a line to the effect that if there is any mistake, and Jones still lives, they will be glad to receive evidence of that fact in the form of a remittance. Of course, stunts like that can easily be carried too far, but the idea back of them is sound, that the difficult part and the important part is to get your debtor's attention, and anything which will attract his attention long enough to get you a hearing will add greatly to your collections. When you are selling something that requires further work on the buyer's part, it is frequently necessary to resell him on the desirability of your product before you can collect. This is especially true of courses of instruction, sets of books, and the like. When collecting such accounts, an occasional inspirational letter of the right type is worth its weight in gold, and usually brings it back in the form of remittances. Then there are always premiums for prompt payment and cash-ups on installment accounts. A good cash-up will frequently bring in as high as 30 to 40% of payments in full on accounts that without it would be slow in paying even the monthly installments. Here are a few that have been very successful for us. Will you accept a 3-volume set of Uptograph's Library of Self-Starters in return for a favor I want you to do? The favor is a simple one, easy to render. Here is the way of it. You owe us a small balance on your subscription to Mind Inc. You can settle that balance in convenient monthly payments, but if you will mail us that balance in full now, we will give you free and postpaid a 3-volume set of Uptograph's Library of Self-Starters. These volumes sell regularly for $2.25 plus postage, and thousands upon thousands of them have been sold at this figure. They include such old standbys as the famous Obvious Atoms, The Sixth Prune, and The Subconscious Mind in Business. They are beautifully printed on heavy book paper and bound in thick board covers. The only reason we can make this offer is that we are very near the end of the big edition and have only 200 or 300 sets now left. When they are gone, our rights to the books go with them, so no more will be printed. We are therefore giving away these last couple of hundred sets. The books are really good, however, and the few who get them will be drawing prizes worthwhile. To be one of them, you'll have to mail your remittance right away. Sincerely. A gift for you, if you're prompt. We have left from the last big edition a few hundred copies of the famous Business Correspondence Handbook, edited by Professor James A. Picken, lecturer in advertising at the School of Commerce of Northwestern University and consultant in many a big business campaign. This Business Correspondence Handbook is in 3 handy volumes, bound in heavy paper imitation leather. It is the same in every respect as the thousands of sets which sold for $5. But we have only a few hundred left, not even enough to print new advertising matter describing it. So we are going to give those few to the first of our subscribers who are prompt. Here is our offer. Send us now the full amount of the enclosed statement, rather than wait to pay it by the month. If you mail that balance right away, we will send you free and post-paid the 3 volumes of the Business Correspondence Handbook. If the books are all gone when your remittance comes, we will return that remittance intact and let you take care of the payments as originally intended by the months. But don't delay. Don't take any chances on such an offer as this. Attach your check now to the enclosed statement and mail it in the stamped, addressed envelope. You'll never have another such chance. Sincerely. Of course, the most successful collection series is the one that combines all these features to the greatest possible extent, alternating one form with another. When you threaten, for instance, you frighten a certain number of your debtors into paying, but the chances are you simply anger the others. If your next letter contains a stronger threat, or even the action implied in your previous one, its principal effect is going to be to make the recipients angrier than they were before. It is like stroking a cat's fur. You can make the sparks fly by stroking it the wrong way. But then you must smooth it down again before you can make the sparks fly some more. The same with your debtors. Ruffle them up with a threatening letter. You will land a certain number of payments. Smooth them over with a cash up or inspirational letter or a stunt like the pin or string letter. You land a lot more payments. Stir them up again with a stronger threat and keep alternating one with another, and you will get every cent it is possible to collect from them. In collection letters, as in everything else, it is well to remember that you can catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. And another thing, the threat of action is even more effective than the action itself, provided your debtor believes your threat is not mere bluff. The law is a last resort, and unless a large amount of money is involved, it is seldom a profitable resort. A letter from a lawyer, on the other hand, is one of the most effective collectors of delinquent accounts that there is. But it seldom pays to go beyond the letter. Close collections, as a rule, are good collections. If you follow up a man the moment his accounts start to lag, if you camp on his trail and keep reminding him courteously but firmly of that overdue balance, the chances are that as soon as he is able to pay, you will get it. And that is the end of Chapter 24. If you would like to grab your copy of the Robert Collier letter book, click the link in the description, and you will find it available in German, Spanish, and French, alongside many other fundamental marketing books. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more direct response content. See you in the next one.